This Hangout on air is live.
Is it live, really? It's
Yes.
live. It's live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Toby
and Matt. Yarg!
My business is in shambles, and my life sucks show.
Is there a delay? That really sucked.
I think there is a delay between you and me, and I think that's the...
Yeah, that didn't work out so well.
No.
It's better when we're in the same room.
Yeah. In any case, I don't think that's going to make or break the show.
We can paste it in later, the good version of it.
Yeah.
That's really echoey, so that'll be great.
It's hardly our worst, anyway. The goal of
enough about us. We digress. Since we'll be talking about us the whole show, anyway. So.
We are seeking to help freelancers and small business owners become more effective time managers so that they can take back their lives.
Yes, take it back.
Earlier today, Matt and I were chatting, and I was just appalled by the situation. Matt, why don't you explain what happened earlier?
It's almost too appalling to explain. We almost canceled the podcast because I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost like 2 days of development time working on other stuff because I just made some bad decisions, mostly just related to me working on some issues related to a client, kind of expanding the website for a client. And so anyway, so I spent the last couple days kind of like working on this issue to try and get this certain functionality to work. I needed these custom fields to show up on this form for this member directory. And so as I was working on that, I didn't do the typical things like disable all the plugins and make sure there's no conflicts and try a different theme and things like that. And so I was kind of being stubborn because I wanted to figure out the code piece. And so I've been working on the code piece, asked for help from my friends and stuff like that. And then eventually figured out that it was a theme conflict with the plugin. Not a plugin conflict, a theme conflict. And I'm like, okay, so troubleshooting a theme conflict, in this case in particular, it's a custom built theme. And so I really don't have the inside scoop on how it was built and even how to find that conflict. And so so for me, like I was asking my friends and trying to figure it out, but really beating my head against the wall and going, dang it, how do I solve this problem? But now it's turned into this other problem where it's a theme conflict. And so now I'm kind of moving into some territory that I need some assistance with. And so I should have asked for help a long time ago. Like if I had a trusty, subcontractor or developer that I could say, hey, can I hire you and you do this for me because I don't know how to do this and you can figure it out. And then I could just do other things for like the last 8 hours. That would be so sweet. So that's kind of, I guess that's kind of my story. So
yeah. There are two like very clear, to me, fails from a business perspective. One is a process fail on the troubleshooting process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, that's something that can easily be corrected, just by saying every time something breaks, I do X, Y, and Z. But then there's
a live and learn scenario, live and learn. And I've done that before, and we all do that. But it's
And I should say both of these problems are very common. And the second problem is the rabbit hole problem, which is like, oh, this is going to take 5 minutes to fix, and 16 hours later, it's still not fixed, and there's no end in sight.
Yeah.
Both very common problems for people who are freelance web developers, I would say. And so for the second one, that was the one that I was just appalled by, because the first one, that's like just moxie and cockiness and, it'll just take 5 minutes. Like, I feel like when I'm in that situation, each time it's like, oh, it'll just take 5 minutes more. And I think I'm onto something. And I think just a better process. But really the process is a rabbit hole discovery process. Like when it comes to troubleshooting, I'm like, how do I figure out if it truly is a 5 minute problem? And then if it's more than 5 minutes, then I need to hand it off. Basically, that's the concept.
Well, and even if, and I mean, then that makes sense. Like try and address the issue, and then if it takes you too long, like even if I spent like an hour on it, at some point I should have been like, okay, I have better things to do, and if I can find somebody else, a coder, guy that can like take a look at this in a more deeper level and figure out what's going on, even if I would have done my troubleshooting process properly, like I should have, and done the plugins and then done the theme, and then I would have figured out, oh, it's a theme conflict, then I'm kind of lost. I really don't know how to troubleshoot theme conflicts. I just don't. And so, especially in this case with the custom theme, it's a site that I inherited from somebody else. And so at that point, then I should have immediately turned to my subcontracting developer, which I don't have.
There's another thing here. There's like there's a hurdle that you have to get over, I think. And that's like, it might be something like you're a business owner and not a coder.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I think of like coding's fine. And if you're super into coding, 16 hours stuck on a problem is kind of cool, But if you're trying to run a business, I think you can't do it, You can't be a coder and a business owner. At least maybe you could, but I think it'd be really tough.
I mean, some people, that's all they do. I mean, they do code and they run their business and they build the websites and things like that. And so we all have different strengths. And for me, like, I can code with HTML and CSS and things like that. But like when you get into the deeper things, like PHP and JavaScript, like I'm more challenged in those areas. And so like that's where each business owner needs to kind of make that decision for themselves and go, where am I strong and where am I not strong? What should I be spending my time troubleshooting or looking into, or what should I not spend my time in?
Yeah.
And when can I just outsource that and hire somebody else to do that part so that I can free me up to run my business and build other sites and things like that.
But I think it's like about being selective about what you want to learn, like because the rabbit holes are where you learn code. Like
yeah.
You learn code after spending 20 hours trying to like make this light box appear. Like then you go, oh, I learned something.
You're like, yay.
And so it's like picking your rabbit holes, and figuring,
Well, then the question is, how valuable is the thing that you learned? Was it worth 16 hours of digging into, or is it moving you forward as a developer, or was it really just like a thorn in your side that you're like, dang it, I want this to go away and I don't care about what I learned. It took way too long. It should have taken me an hour.
Yeah, and there's another side to this too, which is, let's say it's pretty easy to figure out rabbit holes, and it could be as simple as soon as you've been working on it for an hour, you stop working on it and hand it off to someone else. But even let's say that person then spends 20 hours, you can ask them to teach you what they did, and what the solution was. And I do that sometimes. I'll like grill Renee for like 30 minutes trying to understand what he did. And but he spent 8 hours on it, and like, I feel like no matter who, like oftentimes, like even like the cool thing is like the most experienced coders go down these rabbit holes, and like, it's not like a thing that disappears ever, I don't think.
Sure.
But it's just kind of like, like, where do you want to invest your time, kind of?
I mean, that's a great point. Like, choose your rabbit holes wisely. Is this something that's really going to be of value to you, or is it something that's a waste of your time and you should just have somebody else do it and let them go down the rabbit hole, and then you can focus on other things. Definitely a good call.
Yeah, and so like today, like we were in danger of canceling the podcast, and so let's just talk about process. Like so, I'll tell you what I do. So when I hit a rabbit hole, or if I see one that might be, I'll hand it off to Renee usually, and that's just my process. And I go, well, tell me when you're done with it, and then like a few hours later or the next day or whatever, I'll hear back and he'll say I'm done. So my process is to have a guy available, basically, that can go down those holes for me.
Yep.
But it doesn't, so my guy works 20 hours a week for me, but it could be like Upwork.com or something, it could be a totally different process. Which,
Certainly.
like, I feel like Upwork, like, So Upwork.com is just a place to hire freelancers, basically, and you can hire them for one-off gigs. And I've had like really good luck with Upwork. In fact, I might have met Renee on Upwork
Okay.
initially, but like there's like a million people waiting for you to post a job on there, and like I just feel like it could work into your process actually. And I think we've talked about this. Like it's really nice to have somebody who's there for you when you need them. But to do that takes a commitment of money, basically, time and money.
Yeah.
And so if you're not ready for that, Upwork might be a good solution initially, but you still need to build a process around it. Like the process might be, if I see a rabbit hole coming, meaning like I've worked on something for an hour, then it's time to go to Upwork. And my process for Upwork is to create the job, hire 3 people to do it or to start it, and then check in 3 hours later and fire 2 of those people, you know?
Sure. That would make sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's always a gamble, crapshoot to see, you know, are you going to get somebody that's quality or somebody that's junk, you know? Yeah, so that takes time to weed that out, you know, but it's good to get, I mean, like, it's good to know people that are using that and have used people, because then you can be like, hey, are you using somebody? And you're like, yeah, hey. And so like that's how you referred Renee to me. So I'm going to check out, you know, we're talking today at 3:00 and I'm going to just see if that's going to work out. And I'm sure it is. But it's good to have that, because now I already know that it's a quality person because he's been vetted by you and your business, you know?
Yeah, but I don't, you know, I feel like, I wonder, like, for these rabbit hole problems, like you need somebody on call, I think. At least I do. Like, because I always feel like if I'm like, I don't organize or plan well enough to like, but really it's like that I don't communicate well enough with my customers to like be like, I'm going to get to that next week. Where if you have someone like that's quality like Renee and you know, you're subject to his availability. I don't know. I guess it depends how you're communicating with your clients. But in my case, I'm often like, I need someone right now to work on this to give me peace of mind. And that I think Upwork is good for that.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that's good. I hear you though. I mean, yeah, the planning ahead thing, like I might have it in my mind. Oh, well, yeah, I'll work on that next week. But then like, I won't think, oh, hey, maybe I should email Renee or check Upwork, you know, right now to see if I can get somebody scheduled for that next week. It's like then next week when I'm ready to deal with it, I'm like, dang it, I'm still in the same place I was last week. I don't have somebody that I can have to work on this issue for me.
Yeah, I'm actually suggesting something else. Like, so you let's say the time comes, you've waited a week, you start on it, you go, oh shit, this is a big one, or this is a rabbit hole. What I would do is go on Upwork at that time and say, I need somebody to start this immediately. I would hire 3 people to do it and say, work 3 hours and then check in with me. And then 3 hours later, I'd go back on and check out their work, and I'd say, and I'd just fire 2 of them, basically.
So how does Upwork.com? Do you pay them once you're happy, or?
Well, in that case, you would just pay them per hour. And
so
you
pay
say,
all 3 of them per
I have
hour.
3 hours of work for somebody, and then you get 100 applicants in the next 1 minute, and then you choose from that 100, hire 3 of them. This is just a process I've used in the past.
Okay.
Check in 3 hours later, and you say, you're a go, you other 2 are gone. But everybody gets paid, you know, like they've all invested their 3, you've delivered on your promise, you know.
And they have delivered on their deliverables.
Yeah.
Basically, they've all 3 done the same thing, and then you just kind of go, I pick you, and
yeah.
And then, so it's like you pay for an extra 6 hours.
Yes.
To kind of filter out the good and the bad and who you want to work with.
Right. And firing is the wrong word. Really, it's like everybody's happy. You've all done your 3 hours. Now I'm going to move forward with this person, you know?
Yeah. That's good. Way to shed it in a positive light. You're so positive.
Well, no, I think that's the way it is. It's not like everybody has fulfilled their promise, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So I like that. I've used that. It's worked. But I really think the key here is like, so that process might take an hour or 2, but at least it's like a finite time frame that you can plan for. So let's say you do an hour, and then it takes you an hour to find someone and hire someone, and then an hour to review and fire or rehire. You know, so let's say that's a 3 hour process, but you just saved yourself 15 hours of rabbit hole potentially, you know?
Exactly. Yep. No, totally right. And that's gonna just make you more efficient at your business and let you focus on the things that you want to focus on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The way to take back your life.
Yeah. And I always think, I don't know, like the whole, like, I know like I get pushback from a lot of our peers about like, it's really just like we differ in terms of like our understanding of business and time management. I think like, I don't know, I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I don't, my headaches right now that I want to deal with are not development headaches. I'm like, I just don't want development headaches.
Okay. Okay.
I'd rather like have other headaches right now. And so like,
What kind of headaches do you want?
well, like
I can help you
the
with that.
technical, so our podcast here, there are some technical issues we're having with it, just getting it
Yeah.
recorded. And like, I'd rather deal with that headache than, you know, like some code headache right now. You know?
That's great.
And, you know, I'm like, I've got ideas for like other ways, you know, other revenue streams. And if I'm doing code, I can't work on those. And
Yeah, I
and
was gonna
also,
just.
yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, and then the other thing is
No,
like I want to be home with my kids tonight, you know, and so, you know, if I can offshore all those rabbit holes, then then I can be home and be present, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna just tag on to what you said about like you got these other business ideas and things that you're exploring and things like that, and me too. You know, I'm trying to push my maintenance plans forward and things, and could I have spent those 8 hours focusing on that and developing marketing things for that and plans and whatever, and yeah, that would have been a much better use of my time. You know.
Yeah, and let's say it would have cost you, let's say, I don't know, potentially a few $100 to offshore this work to somebody or to use that process I outlined.
Yeah.
But you know, you saved 10 hours that could generate thousands for you, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, even let's just for hypothetical say, what if my hourly rate was $50 an hour, and I spent 8 hours on it? You know, so like, there's still going to be a benefit of offshoring, even if if I spend 8 hours or 15 hours or 20 hours, and if I offshore to somebody and they spend 3 hours on it and they get it done, you're like, cool, or 4 hours on it, great. I mean, it's been a benefit to me, you know, financially, and then because I can also then focus my time on other things.
Yeah, the crazy thing, if you're billing hourly, you can bill out their time too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's potentially, potentially you're making money just for managing the project, which is like what business owners need to do, I think. You know?
Mm-hmm. Sure. True. Yeah. So it's not money out of your pocket; it's money out of the client's pocket.
Yeah, and maybe your profit per hour is slightly less or a lot less, whatever. But like, I don't know, still making money and moving your business forward. So I don't know. That's kind of where I sit. But I know like a lot of our peers like cringe at the thought of like they don't see the upside to like putting your time into the business. You know, I think that's what it is. Like they don't trust themselves enough to like to figure it out or something. I don't know.
Well, but there's also people that don't trust other people with their development stuff. You know, they might have a lot of really specific ways that they develop and standards and styles of designing things or building things, and so I think that's also a factor too. So there's a willingness to there needs to be a willingness to kind of like let go of that a little bit. You know, still you can oversee it, but like if people don't code the way that you like to code or approach things the same way, so I think that could be a factor too.
I think you're right. I would say that a lot less diplomatically and say that those people have got their priorities all out of whack.
Sure.
I mean,
sure. That's a possibility.
The priorities and that like that stuff doesn't move the needle for the revenue. You know, are you running a business or a code? Are you a code artist? You know, like
sure.
people are buying your artwork. Like
that's a great question. Yeah, and again, I think it comes down to what are your priorities. If that's the priority, great. You know how that's benefiting their business. We don't know. I mean, maybe it's benefiting something somewhere, but again, if you're able to let go of that, like what you're saying is just let go of that and not have that be a hindrance to you, then you can. I totally agree with you. Like, people spend less time focusing on building their business, doing business development, versus like just doing development coding and rabbit holes.
But even like beyond that, I go like, I'd rather, like, nobody cares about code quality. I would say nobody. There's like one company in town that I know cares about code quality. And I literally know one company that does. Right?
Is that the Mighty Mo?
No, it's definitely not the Mighty Mo. Well, because like I mean, we've talked. I don't know how. I feel like I might need to give some background here. Otherwise, people that tune in for the first time will think I'm a total asshole. But the fact is that for most websites, 99.9% maybe, like, the code quality does not matter. It doesn't drive revenue. It doesn't, do anything. So I think it's just misplaced focus. Now, like, it matters for Amazon. Like, they determine, like, if they can get a page to load 0.1 milliseconds faster, it's like $1 million a day or something. It matters for Amazon. It really does. But it's a revenue driver. They've connected it. They go, oh, if we can make it 1 millisecond faster, it means $1 million more. But for like everyone that we know, that doesn't matter.
Joe's community bike shop repair.
Right. Or even
it doesn't need to load a half a second quicker. It's not going to matter.
And I mean, even big businesses, GeneralMills.com probably doesn't matter because that's not a revenue driver for them,
Yep. Gotcha.
Maybe on BestBuy.com, because it's e-commerce, but
yeah. But just the e-commerce pages.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess like I just feel like it's a total waste of time to focus on technology because it doesn't drive revenue.
So how do you make sure your priorities are in order? How do you determine what should be your priority? How do you realize where you're making mistakes and what you think your priorities should be, but they shouldn't be? Like, for instance, like, should coding standards and all that stuff and code artistry, should that be your priority? If that shouldn't be your priority, then how do you figure that out? Somebody needs to tell you. And what do you do? Slap people in the face with a piece of meat? I mean, what's going on?
No, you can't. I don't think for most of these people, you couldn't. Slapping them with a piece of meat wouldn't help. Like, I don't think like there's anything I could do to convince a lot of our friends. We just like our opinions are like just so far apart. But like, if you ask,
it's what it is.
It's one of the. It's like talking to a Trump supporter. Like, you cannot convince these people, like, or a Hillary supporter or whatever. Like, they're just, I'm a Trump man.
Don't get political now. Don't get political.
I'm a sass guy. Whatever.
There you go. I'm a less guy.
Well, without getting political, it's like I don't know if you've ever talked to someone who's highly political. Like, it's like you can't convince them of anything half the time.
Sure. Yep. Agreed.
But like, if you ask me, if your priority is your business and you really believe that, then you're going to be open to hearing these arguments.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't agree with them, at least you'd be like, interesting point.
No, that's. I mean, I think you have to have that mindset all the time as a business owner, because I mean, for the first year and a half, almost 2 years, I just made it up. I mean, I looked online and, I've been freelancing for 2 years. I just made it up. I've found some contract online and did that, found some terms and conditions, made up my own processes and things like that. And then at some point I was like, okay, something needs to change. And I'm not pricing things properly. I'm not negotiating things properly. I don't have a CRM in place where I'm really consistently following up with people. I don't have an accounting system. I don't have, I have I have the basics of those things, but really I need to bring my business to the next level. So in that place, I have to be open to input. I have to say, hey, I'm not doing this right. My business is in shambles and my life sucks. Like, I need to move to the next place, the next level. And so I think it's wise for any business owner anywhere to just have an open mind about how they're doing things and being willing to receive input from outsiders, looking in.
And I think you bring up a right point. Like it's like, what is your priority? And for me, my family is my priority. it's not my business. My business serves my family, you know, and
Right on.
if you're not there, then my argument's pure crap, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
But if you're there, if you're at a point, or you know, whatever, I'm not saying my view that is right. That's just kind of where I am. And
Yeah.
if you're somebody who's meeting me there, then I think like my argument should make some sense.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's good. I mean, it's good to whittle down. Like when you said that, I'm like, well, what's my priority? You know, and I mean, I think I know some pieces of it, but like, I mean, my priority, I would say, is my life. Like I want to streamline my business in a way and price things in a way that's going to allow me to not work in the evenings, not work on the weekends, you know, to be able to put away for retirement, to kind of that type of thing. And so I mean, those are my priorities, you know. But I think that's a great question when you're looking at your business. What is my priority? What is the purpose of my business? Is it to free up my time? Is it to load up my bank account? Is it to make me a workaholic so I spend all wee hours in the morning working? You know, I hope that's not your priority. But
I think for
but some people are workaholics, so maybe they love that. Like, yeah, I want to work till 2 a.m. in the morning and work all evening. But it was like, no.
yes, but like I still feel like even for them, they probably don't hear this argument. But I'm like, what's the point, man?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. What's
like
the
you're a
point?
workaholic, but I don't know. Like, could you be a workaholic at volunteering? Like,
There you go.
whatever, you know, like, or at being home with your family. Could you work at that? Like,
That'd be a great thing to work at. Work at your marriage. Work at your
yeah,
your kids. Work at your relations with your friends. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and that's another priority for me as I was thinking about that too. Is that like I have a heart for children and youth, and I want to be volunteering, you know, and doing stuff with them. And so I want to structure my business in a way where I can free up some of my schedule each week to do that. You know.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good questions. Good thoughts.
Why don't we move on to some other things? I just, what do you call it? Priority mailed my personal tax documents to my tax guy, accountant.
Oh,
Have you done your taxes yet?
don't ask that question. Oh wait, but I do have a tax appointment on, guess what? April 4th, which is 10 days before I usually start my taxes.
Yeah, exactly. This is so this year's special for me because it's the first year that I hired an accountant 2 years ago and I hired a bookkeeper 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I've kind of been waiting for the fruits of that, and it's been like quite a bit of change to throw at something like that. And
Yeah.
you know, I want to say it's like 5,000 a year ish. So it's like a good chunk of change. And the whole reason was A, I don't know what I'm doing with taxes or any bookkeeping, but like B, like I hate tax day. I don't care about paying taxes. It like absorbs 3 to 4 to, it's like a whole like month of my time that like it's absorbed by it.
It does. Yeah.
So this year was the first time where I've started to see that pay off.
Yeah.
So my tax guy emails me. He goes, "Your business taxes are done." And I hadn't even talked to him, but it turns out my bookkeeper had talked to him and sent him everything he needed.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't talk to anyone about taxes. He just goes, he goes, "Your whole taxes are done." And I go, whoa, what? And I go, "But like my wife worked too. I need to send you her stuff." And so he's like, "Okay, the business taxes are done. Give me that stuff and we'll figure out the personal taxes."
That's incredible.
But he had actually done my personal taxes too. So I just mailed that stuff today. So the question that that assuming this is it, and I think it will be, it's like, is that $5,000 worth having no headaches?
Yeah.
You know, and
totally, man.
It might be.
It might be. Yeah.
And it's like not the headache. It's like there's a headache, anxiety, like
stress,
days of labor missed, you know, like.
Yeah. Did I get everything? Did I miss something?
Yeah.
Why not just call the expert and have them do it for you? You know.
And you know, $5,000 is probably more like $4,000. And actually, and I think I see a path to decreasing that quite a bit. By cutting my accountant out, or by cutting my bookkeeper down to like quarterly instead of
yeah,
monthly.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is a quarterly bookkeeper.
Yeah, and I've been so like potentially I could drop that even further, and I don't know, I'm paying 200 a month to the bookkeeper, and then my accountant sends me a bill, like I don't even he sends me random bills and I just pay them. Don't even know what they're for half the time, but
You should look more into that.
well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, but the thing, like, I feel like the headache. Once I solve the headache, then I can like go, okay, can I get it done cheaper?
Sure.
You know? And that's I think that's how I operate in my business generally. I'm like, how do I solve the headache, and then can I do it more effectively or more efficiently?
Yeah. Well, that's great.
So, have you considered doing an accountant or bookkeeper? Or you said bookkeeper quarterly.
Yeah, I've considered that. I just haven't pulled the trigger. And it's funny because I've probably asked that same question like several couple handfuls of time over the last 2 years. Like, oh hey, who do you use for taxes? Oh hey, do you use for bookkeeper? Hey, does blah blah blah. And so, but I've never pulled the trigger. And so, but I guess since you and I started our mentoring relationship in October, November kind of time frame, like I'm just starting to take a harder look at these things. And now that my income is starting to is going up a lot, I'm kind of just starting to take more into consideration, like, oh, can I spend $500 on a tax guy? Can I spend $200 a quarter on a bookkeeper? Can I spend $30 on FreshBooks or whatever, a month on FreshBooks? Can I, and then I also signed up for Contactually and things like that. So again, I'm starting to kind of get into this different mode where now that I'm starting to make regular good monthly income, to start going, okay, how can I now use these services in a way to work for my advantage, so that I can do just like you said, I want to do my business more effectively and more efficiently.
Yeah. This is like another example of like where I always like shake my head at our peers, something, like, and not all of them, of course, but like when I hear it happening, it's kind of like we have peers. I could name a few. I'm sure you can name a few that like do their own taxes, and they spend, let's say they're very awesome at it, and it takes them like a day or two. And I sit there and I go, you just lost like a day or two of labor, like your labor. And I'm going, at minimum, I could probably make X in 2 days. And that's assuming 2 days and not really like 10, which is what it's taken in the past,
True. Well, so let's assume that most of our friends aren't awesome at taxes. Maybe they all suck at taxes like we do. And so we're like, oh my gosh, that takes me days and days and hours and hours. And it's like, yeah, at my hourly rate, is this really worth my time? Or should I just hire somebody out?
Yeah, and I bet you I'm overpaying for everything. And I kind of like accept that as a premise. But like, I go, next year, maybe I can make it half as much. And then the next year I can make it even half as much,
Yeah.
I don't know. And to get rid of that anxiety, and I think like that's one of our initial conversations. I was like, part of like my whole philosophy is like reducing like these headaches and anxieties around life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. No, that's good. Yeah, I usually am sitting at my computer with a pit in my stomach, trying to do my taxes, and I'm just like, oh, what am I missing? And you just sit there for like 16 hours on the computer, and you're like, oh, I'm missing something. What am I missing? But then, and then you have to go research and look up the stuff. And you're like, and you read it, and you're kind of like, well, I mean, I kind of get what it's saying, but I don't know for sure. So then you just make a decision, and you're like, okay, I think I'm done. Submit. But you never still have that question. Like okay, I hope so. Oh, good, they accepted it. Great. Oh, then my check came, or I sent my payment. Whatever.
So it's like,
thing.
Like I got an email when the guy said sorry.
I hate that feeling. I hate that pit in my stomach of something I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I hate that.
Yeah. So like we basically could offshore that to our accountant, that anxiety. And so my accountant emailed me when he said all my taxes are done. He goes, your taxes are done. I had to like cut your receipts in half because blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't care. I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about. But he did that. He took care of that. That was what you were feeling? Like, I don't know. Is this a receipt I can deduct? Like he figured it out. I'm like,
well, and that's where you trust him because he's the expert, right? You're like, you make decisions about this. You don't have a pit in your stomach. You just go, this isn't applicable. This doesn't apply. This applies. This doesn't. This doesn't. This does. and you're like, great, you made the decision for me. I trust you because you're the expert. You're the guru. Great, done deal.
Totally.
And you had peace of mind.
Yeah.
No pit in your stomach, and no headaches, and no stress, no anxiety.
It's been amazing.
That's pretty cool, man. Love it.
Wait, I'll report back next week or whatever when it's fully done. Like, because if it's really this easy, like, I'm gonna be like, Matt, step
Dream
one.
come true. Yep. That's great. Dream come true.
It also could be maybe some people really dig doing taxes. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people that really dig it, but I feel like that's going to be a smaller percentage than the ones that are like, this adds a lot more anxiety and stress to me. I just don't want to deal with that. So,
right. Cool. I think we're about out of time.
Yes, we is.
It's sad.
It is sad. It's so sad.
But
I just want to talk to you forever, Toby.
I know. I love talking to you too. So we're gonna try to do this again in the same room with like a microphone and stuff and a video camera. So if you watch this and you like what you hear, we'll be commenting in the comments, right?
Yes. Yes, with all of our extra time.
Yes, and if you have ideas of things you want us to chat about, let us know. And you know, we're also, I think, planning on having guests here and there too. So let us know if you're interested in being a guest or whatever. I know with Hangouts you can get like multiple people in on the same thing. Like, so who knows? Maybe we'll do some open chats too, where everyone can join. To do that, we need some viewers first, I think. So
that'll be fun. Yeah, viewers. What are those? What?
Exactly.
I thought it was just for us, man.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Hey, I was going to just say I really liked how our conversation kind of came full circle because it was all about, you know when to hire out somebody for your rabbit holes, you know, things like that. And then we talked about taxes and how like they can be stressed and anxiety about those things. But then like the bottom line is coming down to like how to run your business more effectively and more efficiently. So it was cool how those two topics kind of merged together under that same category.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that.
Amen to that, buddy.
Cool. Well, this has been the Toby
I got to pull it up. Wait, you can't do that, man. This has been the Toby and Matt Yarg.
My business is in shambles and my life sucks show. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
It is.